We started discussing how it is that we move away from unreasonableness, from being unreasonable. And I think that the first place to start in our avoda is where the Mishnah tells us that one of the kinyanim, one of the ways that we acquire Torah is with ohev es hatochachos. Person loves rebuke. I just want to read for a moment just a couple of lines from the well-known tshuva of Rav Moshe, Neigros Moshe, Aleph Tzadivov. He addresses somebody who is pointing out that Rav Moshe was seen in a car going to the yeshiva after Hadlakos Neiros. So Rav Moshe, in the course of the tshuva, establishes that this is not in any way usher for a man to do, and it isn't even a problem of Maris Ayin. However, he prefaces and summarizes his response with the following words: Nehenesi me'od asher mailas kvodo nizdares lekayem mitzvahs tochacha lefi daito. I had great pleasure that you, Toshav a Jew, pulled yourself together and fulfilled the mitzvah of tochacha, of pointing out that I'm doing something wrong according to your view. Shuos chen chen lemailas kvodo. A great compliment to Mailas Kvodo. And he goes on and he says that Chas v'shalom li lahakpid bozeh. Apparently the person who raised the point was concerned Chas v'shalom Rav Moshe shouldn't be makpid, that he's pointing out that Rav Moshe is doing something wrong. Chas v'shalom li lahakpid bozeh. Bim yetz Hashem below neder lo esa od mishas hadlokas haneros bekar. Af she'ein bozeh shemetz isur af lo mishum maris ha'ayin. Even though there's absolutely no isur, including not an isur of maris ha'ayin, and he goes on to explain why. And he closes the tshuva with the words Yedido hamevarcho bizchus mitzvahs hatochacha shekiyem lichlod Hashem yizbarach v'lichlod HaShabbos kodesh. I want to give bracha, and I'm signing off with these feelings of warmth and bracha towards you. The shefa bracha sheba al yedei kiyum shmiras hashabbos v'lesukas hashalom, Moshe Feinstein. Rav Moshe cherishes tochacha, and while it turns out that this person was in error, but Rav Moshe can't praise enough the fact that he stepped forward to point out that Rav Moshe was doing something wrong. And the Gemara in Maseches Tamid, Chav Ches Amud Aleph, Tanya, Rebbe Omer, Ezo hi derech yishara sheyavar lo ha'adam. what is the proper path that a person should choose in life? Yohav es hatochachos. He should love rebuke. Shekol zman shetochachos ba'olam nachas ruach ba'olam. When there is rebuke, obviously we're speaking about rebuke in the context of not embarrassing somebody else. We're not speaking about forbidden words. We're speaking about pointing out that somebody else is doing something wrong in a manner that is appealing and appeasing to the other person. Nachas ruach ba'ol la'olam. Ubrocha ba'in la'olam. Not only is there nachas ruach, but there's also bracha. V'ro'a mistalekes min ha'olam. And evil abates from the world. Shenemar l'mochichi min am v'aleim tovo birchas tov. This is what Rebbe said. This is how a person should approach his life. What's the path? The path is, please tell me what I'm doing that perhaps is wrong. And it's very poignant because Rav Moshe is speaking about a situation where he did nothing wrong. And yet he was so excited and so pleased. And it brought him so much praise that this person rebuked him. It doesn't mean that I'm always wrong. That's not what Ohev es hatochachos means. It means that I am looking forward, always looking forward to being corrected. And perhaps to also discover when and how I am wrong. The modern equivalent of always having to be right, of always having to be a know-it-all, of always having to get it right. Hello, Chazal tell us, Ein Adam Omeid al Divrei Torah Ella im Kain Nichshal Bahem. A person does not get Torah, doesn't acquire Torah until he first gets it wrong. Life is about getting it wrong and learning from mistakes. In Rav Moshe's case, he made a change in his practice, even where he didn't make a mistake, just to celebrate the fact that somebody was pointing out that he may have been doing something wrong. I once was in a classroom and a child made a mistake. And the Rebbe said, Lo nora. Lo nora. Not terrible. Ki'ilu, I'm going to comfort you that you made a mistake. That's okay. Next time you'll get it right. And I said to the Rebbe afterwards, that is the only thing this child will remember is the things that he made a mistake about, because the things that he already knew, he's not going to be learning anything about. So the best thing that could happen is that he made a mistake, and now he learned what is correct, and now he knows more than he knew before. And you turned it into a b'di'evet. Lo nora. Don't worry. What do you mean, don't worry? It's the greatest thing that could happen. That's how we grow. That's how we learn. So both from the standpoint of loving tochacha and from the standpoint of celebrating errors, we have to go in the direction of supporting and celebrating the central role that errors have in our lives in order to get away from unreasonableness. Because unreasonableness at its core is a difficulty to recognize that my reasoning is flawed, that I got it wrong. And that's the best thing that could happen to a person. But in the modern world, somehow getting it wrong is considered b'di'evet. Don't worry. So next time you'll get it right. Instead of Baruch Hashem. I now discovered something that I didn't know before. I was now corrected. I love tochacha. So I felt that it was important when we're breaking down the rather big subject. Yala was kind enough to point it out last time that when we spoke about unreasonableness, it seemed a little bit overwhelmingly large as a subject. I just felt, let's just pinpoint one aspect of unreasonableness, and that is the central role that errors play in the life of a Jew, that we are always looking to recognize when we may have made an error and to receive tochacha even when we didn't make an error. There are chazals that wax poetic about the way that Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain responded to Moshe, the way that Aaron and his sons responded to Moshe. In both cases, Moshe chastised them. And in both cases, they soaked it up. They listened and they soaked it up. When will we have another opportunity to get tochacha from Moshe Rabbeinu? Even though in the end, they had valid points. But that wasn't what was going on in that moment. What was going on in that moment was they were soaking up. They were being part of Ohev Esatochachos. So that when Moshe was giving them tochacha, the point was not, are we right or are we wrong? The point is, this is a precious opportunity to receive tochacha. That's something that overrides everything else. It's more important than being right. And when we move into that zone of celebrating errors and loving tochacha, then the issue of unreasonableness starts to recede and fade into the background, because there's almost looking, a person's almost looking to discover where it is that he might have erred. And by the way, that doesn't mean that a person should be wishy-washy. A person should be 100% clear on what he maintains, at the same time being open to discovering that he's making an error. It doesn't mean that a person should be wishy-washy. Nobody grows by being wishy-washy. A person grows by developing a clear halachic stance. This is what I hold, and being absolutely ready and available to discover that I am wrong.